Hi there, I'm Rob Snyder. I'm the co-founder of a technology company called Syrg, and we help quick service restaurants recruit and retain in a world where there are fewer and fewer applicants, and it's just harder and harder to hire and retain. So every month I run mini trainings on things that I've learned from working with thousands of different restaurants. And today we've got some actually really interesting data on turnover to run through. Now, this training is really quick and it's geared towards everyone from franchisee or kind of restaurant owner to your leadership team and store managers as well. So feel free to share this around. I hope it's helpful and provides a new way to look at the data on turnover. Now, the training's called Why Employees Leave and How to Prevent It. We've got some surprising data on turnover that no one else has. This comes from our systems. And so I'm going to share that data and some insights that we have from talking to operators from around the country on how you can use employee feedback to retain your new hires and reduce turnover. All right, let's jump in. So, you have heard this. I know you have heard this before. People don't leave jobs, they leave managers. Now, if you're a manager watching this or you're a former manager watching this, you get it, but you kind of want to pull your hair out when you see something like this because you're already doing 1,000 different jobs. And then to be told you're the cause of people leaving, it can be kind of frustrating. I totally get it. And the good news for you is that our data shows this isn't always true. Let's jump in. So we've done over 20,000 exit surveys just this year. And that's for over 1,000 quick service restaurants around the US. So that goes from everywhere from Maine to Florida to even out to Hawaii, right? We've seen it all. And we've categorized the responses. And the data's pretty surprising. So, learned employees don't leave because of managers. They leave more often because of unanswered questions and miscommunication. And now, this is especially true in those first 90 days. After those first 90 days, the data kind of flips and more people leave due to managers. But in the first 90 days, unanswered, unanswered questions and miscommunication are crazy. Let's look at the stats. So, in those first 90 days, employees are 5 times more likely to quit because of training, communication, and general preparedness than they are after those first 90 days. They're also 50% less likely to quit because of understaffing, store conditions, or the manager than they are after those first 90 days. So you can see what matters in those first 90 days is this training, communication, preparedness, right? They don't have the chance to dislike the manager. They haven't had the chance to do that yet. They just, it seems from our data, they have questions that they need answered. They have problems that they don't know who to ask. They don't feel like they've been trained enough. And these are all solvable problems. Now, the really exciting thing is we crunch the numbers, and I'm a little blocking it, but we see the potential for 12 to 15% at least reduction in turnover in those first 90 days is as possible here. So imagine how much that could help you if you could reduce turnover in those first 90 days by 15, 20%, right? That's going to be huge. You're going to need to recruit far fewer people if we can just make sure that we solve the training, communication, preparedness problems. The good news is that that is solvable. And so I've talked with a bunch of different operators on how do you actually solve this? What do we actually do? And so what we've learned is kind of 2 steps. One is set up an early warning system to get employee feedback before they quit, to figure out, what questions do they have? What miscommunications do they think that communications they haven't received? Do they not know what their schedule is? Whatever it might be. You need to set up an early warning system that automatically reaches out to employees to just check in with them in their first couple weeks. Now, we can help with that, and I'll explain that more in a second. The second is take action on the feedback you get. And now I've seen a lot of people get feedback and not take action on it. So I wanted to share what some of the trainings that I've done before to help people take action on feedback, what they look like. All right. Step one, don't take feedback too personally. If you're receiving feedback, this is really hard, but this is one person's opinion. You may or may not agree with it, but just appreciate the fact that you have that open line of communication. It's easy to beat up on yourself when you get feedback of things that you could have done better personally, but a lot of times it's just little pieces falling through the cracks, like scheduling or whatever it might be. Step two is to follow up with the person who gave the feedback super quickly, ideally the same day, ideally within, a couple hours. And even if you disagree, thank the employee for giving the feedback. Let them know what actions that you're going to take. Don't just thank them, say, here's what's going to change if something's going to change. Or if they just need to know where their pay stub is, you can help them with that too. And then step three is share feedback if that's appropriate, right? If it's something personal, you may not want to share it. But if it's something that could help other people, other managers, or other employees, share it and share what you're doing. So discuss with other managers and leadership. I've seen in manager meetings, regular kind of company meetings, bringing up the results from surveys and employee feedback and talking about what can we change is a really good way to help the organization move forward. And then second, share changes that you're making with other employees or questions that you've received. Share that with other employees because they may have the same question and they just don't know how to raise their hand. All right. So that is this training. Now, if you're interested in how to set up an early warning system to prevent employee turnover that can reach out to your new hires automatically, check in with them and tell your managers what they need to do or tell them, what employees are asking about, reach out to me. Our company does that. We do that for over 1,000 restaurants now, all around the U.S. We're seeing those turnover reductions that we mentioned earlier. So very, very good to see. Very exciting to see. If you're interested in learning more, shoot me an email. My email is launch@syrg.app. I'll get you set up, and we will talk more. All right. Hope this training was helpful, and be on the lookout for additional trainings in the coming months.